In a world where trust is shattered and darkness looms, one man's journey from betrayal to redemption will captivate your heart.
Absolutely.
Even if you don't take them. If you have a relative that is a Christian,
yes,
allow them to take the kids.
I like that.
Because it's like, you may not want Jesus, but...
Thrown into a detention center, he grappled with the harsh reality of being imprisoned mentally and physically.
At that moment, I told myself, I'm not going behind bars no more.
Betrayed and deceived by the one he trusted most.
So now we're about to enter into this part of your life where you're cheated on.
It was rough for me. Bought teddy bears for her, flowers, and my heart just got squeezed and beat up on and crushed and stuck.
In the depths of his despair, he questioned God's plan.
I said, you don't know what just happened to me, Meg.
But amidst the darkness, a glimmer of hope emerged. He found solace in the teachings of a higher power. And in that moment, he discovered a new purpose.
Out with the old,
in with the new.
In with the new. The Holy Spirit came inside of me.
From being lost to salvation, this is the story of Nick. Coming soon, this summer on July 1st on YouTube and all podcast platforms.
God may send you to minister to 50, 100, 150 people, 200. And sometimes, it could be intimidated. But I think that God is so sovereign that he will send us like an Aaron, depending on where you believe that you lack in. But God, he believes in you. But sometimes, we take it upon ourselves like, man, like, I don't, God, you sure you calling me? And it's like I could hear God whisper, well, what about this person?
Welcome to the Call by God podcast with Adney Godin and myself, Nixon Sylvain. This show is about dialogues of biblical characters and testimonies of Christians who submitted to the will of God. Each week, we bring on one guest so that they can share their story of how they were called by God. I hope this show inspires you. Enjoy.
Welcome to the Call by God podcast, y'all. I'm excited. I'm here with my brother and my co-host, Sister Adney. Adney's smiling. She's smiling because I don't know why she's smiling. Why are you smiling, Adney? Why are you?
Why not? Why not, Nick?
Yeah.
I mean, she ain't got no headset on.
You don't want the people to hear.
She ain't got no glasses on. She ain't got no do-rag on. Like, she's just outshining all of us.
Yeah.
For those that are watching.
It's so funny because we had this whole conversation and then Nick is like, oh yeah, by the way, good morning, y'all.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Call by God podcast.
Yeah, you just kind of stepped in the middle of something. Here's your chance to keep scrolling. If you don't, that means God wants you to listen to something. Stay tuned.
Man, listen, just this episode alone is going to be good. But what I wanted to share before we dive into this biblical character, Aaron. Yeah, we'll be talking about Aaron, and we've talked about Moses. But we believe Aaron is a pivotal, important character as well. And I like to call the Bible the history book. How like these secular schools, they say, hey, this is Black History Month, or read your history book about the wars, the civil wars, and the historical figures. But when we read the Bible, this is a history book of people that actually was here on earth. And I think this is a good discussion about Aaron. I always say this, that everybody has a call, people have a purpose, but it's up to us to identify what that is once we are in alignment with God himself. So Aaron, today we'll be talking about Aaron. Aaron is the brother of Moses. Actually, he has siblings, Miriam and Moses, and God called him. And the reason why God ended up calling him to ministry was simply because of Moses. God gave Moses an assignment. And if you go back to the past episodes, Brother Ray and I was on that episode. And I know, Bray, I said, how y'all doing? Y'all ain't say much, but it's all good. But I'm just going to keep going.
Oh, no, we doing blessing it. I mean, that's okay.
You ain't even give us a chance to say anything.
Yeah. And y'all, we struggling over here.
They're not going to think we Christian now.
Let me tell y'all what's going on. Today is one of those days, right? I got two brothers who are dealing with allergies. The pollen is real, y'all. That pollen is real. I am so excited. I have missed being on the biblical discussions. I really, truly have been. So good morning, everyone. Good morning, Nick. But good morning, Ray.
Ray is gonna be Ray. I'm Moses today, and Ray's gonna be Aaron.
Oh, good. Oh, okay. Yeah,
he's not gonna do the things that Aaron did. So Ray, when you think about Aaron's ministry, and I know I talked about it briefly when he was called, what comes to your mind? Because like I said, I'm Moses today. I'm the one that's telling God, like, God, your servant got a speech problem. You sure you want me to? You're Aaron.
Well, I'll say this. It's interesting that we're on a podcast called Called by God. And then the one who was called by God probably wouldn't meet our criteria for being called by God. Because when someone says like, "Oh man, you're really good at something," I think that's your calling. They're usually pretty confident in it. We see the opposite with Moses. We see someone who, by more popular terms, isn't called by God by our standards, but look who God calls. But then you contrast that with Aaron, his brother. Like, why didn't you just call Aaron? He right here. He can speak. He can stutter. Like, he right here. But I know we jumping back and forth in the story. Moses stopped and saw the burning bush. Moses saw it. So it's almost like those who see it get called. It's almost like we're in a world full of signs. I'm gonna get to Aaron. I promise. We're full of signs and things that direct us. But the problem is we don't know how to filter out, the signal from the noise. So we have this complex where we're just kind of going about life and being aimless. I'm not sure if y'all ever heard the term of an NPC before, non-playable character, but it's a video game term where you have your main character and he's kind of in the world of wherever he's in. And you have these other characters that are just doing the same thing mindlessly. They're just doing whatever and they just miss everything else around them. So it almost makes you wonder, it's like, the criteria for being called may not be isolated to ability, but perception. Because we see that Aaron, in my observation, had the ability, and by Moses' standard, was more of a called person to do this than he was. However, he didn't see it. He didn't see the burning bush, and then later we obviously see that he didn't see what was wrong with building a golden calf. So for those that may be listening, you may not, in your own estimation or even the estimation of others, feel that you are called to do something because of whatever linguistic deficit or, a way of being eloquent or whatever it is. Never mind just the speech part. Maybe it's just the doing part. But that may not be the criteria that God is looking for. I'll give you this example. Who is greater in basketball, Michael Jordan or his coach? So, I'm not able to hear Annie though. Yeah, you might mean. Okay, so does the coach have the ability to slam dunk? Can Phil Jackson, pull up and do a slam dunk the way Michael Jordan can do it? No. But look, just because he doesn't have the physical ability, he has the vision, and he has the perception and the perspective to drive people to their potential. See, when you look at Aaron was, in my loose metaphor, is the Michael Jordan who can actually do the ability, but he needs guidance because he doesn't have the vision of where it could go. And there is something very scary about talent that is misguided, because you can use it for a lot of things. I mean, listen, Aaron, that's impressive. You got everybody to give up all their jewelry and you made a golden calf and then you threw a party. It was actually an orgy, but you understand my point. You got the ability to rile up people. Meanwhile, the guy who's actually called can't put two words together. He went before Pharaoh without an invitation. How'd you get into the White House? And then you telling God all these things. So really what it comes down to is who Aaron is historically and who Aaron is in everyday life. And there is a part of all of us. We have a Moses and then we have an Aaron. The best part is when you try to get them to work together. So for example, let's see, let me put it in biblical terms. Jesus said it this way. When I am weak, thou art strong. You have your flesh and you have your spirit. See, in the flesh, you might be weak. Or how about this? You might think you're strong. But the spirit part, if Moses was the spirit part, Aaron being the flesh part, it's like, listen, the spirit has to guide that flesh part for this thing to actually get going. So speaking to people who maybe you know that there's something out there that God has called you to do, you're just not sure how to do it or if you'll even be good at it, that's where you call on your inner Moses. The part of you that may not be as exaggerated or may not exude enough strength, but that spirit part is literally the Phil Jackson to the Michael Jordan. It is the, who is Mike Tyson without his coach Gus. Mike Tyson by himself, he's going to fight everybody, bite everybody ear off. But he's going to need a coach to be like, hey, ring it in, Mike. We don't need to kill everybody, Mike. So when it comes to Aaron, I think we all need to identify where the Moses, the spiritual part is. Because just like we said in this discussion, then I'll pause because I can keep going. We talked about how do you audit. See, the audit is the coach. And we see in the story what happens when the coach comes back to the locker room and said, what? Y'all been acting who? Did we not go through this? So I just want people to know that God has put both elements in you. And we can even get into, the children of Israel as a tribe, as a whole nation of people. And how that represents a whole faculty of emotions that reside in us, that you're going to have an overwhelming physical urge to do something against what you know to be right. And if you don't know how to, corral the cattle there with your rod and staff, the crowd's going to win. But see, Moses shows us that, listen, we can go against the crowd. But Aaron, I'm going to need you to err on the side of caution.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Thank you for making it midway through this episode. We want to take a moment to sincerely thank each and every one of you who have been supporting our show. Your encouragement and positive feedback mean the world to us. We want to continue to bring you inspiring and thought-provoking content each week, and that's where we need your help. We kindly ask you to support our podcast by clicking on the link provided in the description below. Your support will enable us to grow, reach a wider audience, and continue to produce the quality content you enjoy. We truly appreciate your support and value your contribution to the Call by God podcast. Together, let's inspire and uplift others in their faith journey. Thank you once again for your continued support, and we look forward to bringing you more enlightening episodes in the future. God bless.
So when we look at Abraham, how about to say Abraham, y'all? Aaron.
We can look at him too.
Yeah. Start with an A, right?
Yeah.
So Aaron stumbled onto ministry because God called Moses. God called Moses. And because of Moses was having this dialogue with God about his deficiencies, areas that he believed he's lacking. And if the listeners, if y'all don't know what we're talking about, the children of Israel are in bondage. There's Pharaoh, have the children of God they're under bondage. And God was raising Moses to be a deliverer, to help deliver his people out of bondage. So y'all just got to go back and listen to the episode. If not, there's a series going on Netflix. Y'all can watch. So I'm giving a shout out to Netflix. Y'all could watch the Moses series. But this discussion is about Aaron. So what I mean that Aaron stumbled upon ministry is because, and Adney, you could read it, and Exodus chapter 4, verses 12 through 14. So Moses having this dialogue with God, and then God asked him a question like, hey, I know you're going back and forth with me about the areas that you believe you lack in, but what about your brother? And I began to think about, even my own personal walk, or just anybody that's doing some kind of ministry, any kind of capacity. Because truth be told, there's sometimes, I always say this, Ray and Adney, I say, man, sometimes the things that God has called us to be, sometimes it could be intimidating, depending on where he's sending you. God may send you to minister to 50, 100, 150 people, 200. And sometimes, it could be intimidated. But I think that God is so sovereign that he will send us like an Aaron, depending on where you believe that you lack in. But God, he believes in you. But sometimes, we take it upon ourselves like, man, like, I don't, God, you sure you calling me? And it's like, I could hear God whisper, well, what about this person? Or what about this? It's like God will point us in the right direction. The reason being, I believe, is because God's will got to get done regardless of what the areas that we believe that we lack in. So I think that's God's sovereignty right there. That's why I say Aaron, he stumbled upon ministry. Although he's a Levite, he comes from the tribe of Levi. But God doing that even brought that idea to Moses, like, hey, you got a brother, although you tell him about your speech problem, maybe he's a little bit different. Maybe he's the one that's eloquent. He could speak for you, and I'll send both of you guys. And that's why I believe that there are two is better than one. And even we see that same pattern when Jesus Christ was here on earth. Jesus Christ sent the disciples out in twos. So we know the power of twos. So it's just amazing to me that God didn't send Moses to Pharaoh by himself. So Adney, go ahead and read the verse.
Okay. I'm going to start at 11.
That's fine.
Then the Lord asked Moses, who makes a person's mouth? Who decides whether people speak or do not speak? Hear or do not hear? See or do not see? Is it not I, the Lord? Now go. I will be with you as you speak, and I will instruct you in what to say. But Moses again pleaded, Lord, please send someone else. Then the Lord became angry with Moses. All right, he said. What about your brother Aaron, the Levite? I know he speaks well. And look, he is on his way to meet you now. He will be delighted to see you. Talk to him and put the words in his mouth, and I will be with you both. And I will be with both of you as you speak, and I will instruct you both in what to do. Aaron will be your spokesman to the people. He will be your mouthpiece, and you will stand in the place of God for him, telling him what to say.
You know what's powerful about what Adney just read? Because typically it's supposed to be the other way around. The person who does the speaking usually get all the accolades. I'm sure if we ask someone that probably don't read their Bible, hey, do you know who Aaron is? They're about, who? But if you say who Moses is, yeah, they can blame Moses. Moses with the 10 Commandments. Moses with 10 Commandments. So it's kind of like, it's kind of strange in a way. Like God called Moses, but then Aaron stumbled upon ministry. Like, hey, hey, by default, like he stumbled upon ministry. Now because of his, his giftedness, he could speak eloquent. Obviously, he could speak better than his brother. So he was, obviously, they did go to Egypt and fulfill the task. But they was like on the forefront. I like what God said. God said, I'm going to put my words into your mouth. So God was with both of them. So it shows you that even though that the Bible highlights that, Aaron is eloquent and Moses was telling God that he's not eloquent, but God is like, who's speaking for you? We know that God is eloquent. Who's speaking for you? Because God says he's going to put his words in their mouth. And Ray, I like what you said in the Moses episode. I know this is not about Moses, but this is about Aaron. You said God called Moses to speak only 4 words. Let my people go. And I said, wow, that's powerful. You think it'll be like a whole paragraph, like, you know what I mean? Like a whole paragraph, a 10-minute speech. No, it was just, yeah. So that's my thought. I thought that was interesting. And what are your thoughts on that in terms of how you guys believe that Aaron was called into ministry?
Aaron, as the older brother, seen more things than Moses when it comes to the people, right? Because Moses grew up in the palace and had all this training. But Aaron actually, it's like a politician that comes and says, oh, I'm here to incite change for the people because I know where they come from, but they've never been in the trenches with the people. Aaron was in the trenches with the people. So Aaron will know what to say to Pharaoh when it comes to the people. Moses don't know nothing about that. Right? Moses don't know what them people feeling. Moses wasn't making no bricks. Aaron was. Moses wasn't the one going through the struggle. Aaron was. So Aaron would be the perfect mouthpiece. Why? Because the people will hear Aaron and not Moses. So Aaron's calling was powerful because when the people saw him, they'll be like, okay, yeah, God is here. We don't know this man. Remember in Moses' episode when he smote the Egyptian, even though it was because the Egyptian was beating one of theirs, what's the first thing that people say? What you gonna do? Kill us like you killed the Egyptian? They would never relate to Moses, but they relate to Aaron because Aaron was in the trenches with them. So God understood, okay, I know what I have to do. I got to get somebody who knows this struggle. And when they see that this person knows this struggle, they will hear what he says. Moses, whether he believed it or not, he saw his deficiencies. God knew, yeah, I raised you differently because I needed you to have a free mindset. I couldn't have you enslaved because when it comes to me, you would focus on me and not all of those many gods, whereas they would follow what the Egyptians did because they were stuck there.
Yeah. And I would say in terms of Aaron kind of being thrown in the mix, and I'm not trying to add to anything that the Bible's saying. I just kind of see a different more to it between Moses and God, especially when God got angry. It's almost like, look, Aaron is already on his way. The only thing you had to do was say yes, and it would have been, oh, and look, I was going to help you, but my word wasn't enough for you. So maybe you have a problem with words, not just speaking it, but taking a word. And it's almost annoying how it's almost like if like when you tell your child, listen, study. If I see you study, you're going to be good. Okay. I may not have been the best, test taker either. But if you study and I see you study, everything going to be all right. But it's almost like, I already bought Disney tickets. I mean, it's like, do I have to like add a little supplement there to you to let you know it's going to be all right? You could just take me at my word and just say, listen, if my father said it was going to be all right, even if I got to go by myself, it's going to be all right. But some of us, we need like a God multivitamin. You know, it's almost like, yeah, I heard you, but is there something more tangible? Can I have like a, what's it called? Like a deposit of good faith outside of my word? Okay, fine. Look behind you. He's pulling up in his car now. You happy? It's like Moses, like, gosh, like, there's a reason why I picked you. Yeah, I mean, it's almost like, hey, fast forward to the mountaintop. It's like, hey, Moses, you remember Aaron? Yeah, you're the one that you was like tripping that wasn't going to come with you. Yeah, guess what he doing now? He done made this mission so much harder because now he's done unsold me and the things that I did. Now they down there, getting lit. And now Moses on there like, and now I got to make a whole bunch of rules. I done broke the rules before we could follow them. No kidding, Moses. That's how this relationship started. You're like a teenager in your 80s. I mean, you're just like, why? Just put your seatbelt on. Don't worry about, like, eat your vegetables. You're going to fight cancer. Like, why do you have to first, like, oh my God, I got to lump it. Oh, now you want to get healthy? Just listen to me ahead of time. But anyway, sorry. But sometimes God will throw us a bone and say, okay, fine. If it makes you that much more comfortable, I mean, I am God. I can resurrect dead people. Oh, look, there's your own brother behind you. And oh, look, he can just miraculously, coincidentally do the thing that I'm asking you to do. And look, he's your brother. I think he likes you. I think it'll work out. You don't think you have to convince him. But then he also said this, or before all that, my little rant, and please feel free to give me that one to tell me to stop. But when God had to remind him, it's like, look, son, let me show you how life works. Who made your mouth? I did. And you're telling me that you don't know how to use it. There's a difference, folks, in knowing something versus understanding something. Because you can know your Bible. It doesn't mean you understand it. Before, I mean, come on. Before we really officially started, me and Nick was just having a conversation about this type of thing. About, yeah, you can know it, but boy, once you start going through it, that's when you understand it. Because the Bible doesn't always say, and you will feel angry at God sometimes. I mean, maybe David said that in one of the Psalms, but and when your child back talks you, and then when your marriage starts to do this is what you're gonna say. When she says this, you gotta go back and forth in this doom loop, and it doesn't say all that. It'll just say the bottom line of it. So now God is telling Moses, like, look, son, I know you think you may know how your mouth works, but I understand how your mouth works. I can reverse engineer. I'll give you 4 words. 4 of the most powerful words. If you just say it, it will unpack itself. Stop trying to complicate a simple task. I didn't say it was easy. I said it was simple. Because sometimes we confuse, diet and exercise equals good health. Well, I mean, look at me, all 200 and blah, blah, blah pounds, on the screen, taking up half the screen.
I'm done. I'm so done with you right now.
Calf. I mean, yeah, I ate it.
I'm done.
Anyway,
I'm so done.
No, but listen, Ray. So Aaron, so Moses was 80 years old and Aaron was 83 years old when they approached Pharaoh. So you, that's why you said there was teens in their 80s and they're acting like teens in their 80s, right? So they was up there in age. So just the thought, so just a little bit about Aaron. So we know that Aaron is portrayed both positively and negatively in Exodus and Numbers. And we know that he also shows holiness, as the high priest of Yahweh, but also apostasy, and he rejects even Moses' authority. And that's what we've been talking about briefly. And I'm not here to highlight his flaws, but I just want to share it with people, obviously all of us, that, God could call anybody, and we're humans. We're going to make mistakes. So this is a high priest. He has some flaws. And Adney and I, we've said this on numerous episodes that, hey, if God is calling you, take heed to the call. And if we're reading a biblical character that's a high priest from the tribe of Levi that have some flaws. He didn't say, oh, let me wait till I get 100%. Let me wait till I'm made whole. Let me wait till I'm perfect before I start serving the Lord. No, he just got up. Moses must have told Aaron what God told him and what he needed to do, and then he took heed. But the reality is that Aaron wasn't all that perfect. And although we're talking about the golden calf experience and him rejecting and saying some things against his brother, that's human. He's human, right? That only makes him human. But let's talk a little bit more about that golden calf experience. And I think it's important. And Adney, I want you to read it, because I know we've been talking about it, but I want to go to the scriptures, and then we could just have a dialogue about it. Because I think that's important, because if somebody's saying like, man, like God has used these individuals, Moses and Aaron, and in here, like you said, Ray, like here's Moses spending time with God, and the people is like, hey, Moses is taking too long. And like Adney said, Aaron had to be familiar with these people because he was with these people. Whereas Moses, he was in the kingdom. He was with Pharaoh. He was raised up as an Egyptian. So I want Adney. So I don't know what version Bible you're reading, but
I'm reading
Exodus
the NLT.
NLT. So Exodus 32, 1-5, and we could just have a dialogue about it. And I know people might say, at least for those that don't read their Bible, they'd be like, man, he's a high priest and he did that. And we'll explain it. Go ahead, Adney.
When the people saw how long it was taking Moses to come back down the mountain, they gathered around Aaron. Pay attention to that. They gathered around Aaron. Come on, they said, make us some gods who can lead us. We don't know what happened to this fellow Moses. So there's no relationship there. Who brought us here from the land of Egypt. So Aaron said, take the gold rings from your ears and of your wives and the sons and daughters and bring them to me. All the people took the gold rings from their ears and brought them to Aaron. Then Aaron took the gold, melted it down, and molded it into the shape of a calf. When the people saw it, they exclaimed, "Oh, Israel, these are the gods who brought us out of the land of Egypt." Aaron saw how excited the people were, so he built an altar in front of the calf. Then he announced, "Tomorrow will be a festival to the Lord." The people got up early the next morning to sacrifice burnt offerings and peace offerings. After this, they celebrated with feasting and drinking, and they indulged in pagan revelry. The Lord told Moses, "Quick, go down to the mountain. Your people whom you brought from the land of Egypt have corrupted themselves. How quickly they have turned away from the way I commanded them to live. They have melted down gold and made a calf, and they have bowed down and sacrificed to it. They are saying, these are your gods, O Israel, who brought you out of the land of Egypt." Then the Lord said, "I have seen how stubborn and rebellious these people are. Now leave me alone so my fierce anger can blaze against them, and I will destroy them. Then I will make you, Moses, into a great nation."
Well, I mean, it's like a car wreck where
That's a lot.
when you read it, it's like you just can't help but just be like, It's like it's downhill. I mean, it's like doubling and tripling down. It's like first of all, it's fellow, and then here's this great idea, and then we're gonna build an altar, and then we're gonna burnt sacrifices too. Like we're not just gonna like how big of a camping bag did you bring on this trip? Y'all got extra stuff to do that? But then again, let's play devil's advocate, or I'll do it. You're in an unknown territory. You have no idea what's going on. You're looking for some familiarity. I need something to feel like I can get a grip on what's happening. Now, we don't know how long a while was, but how long could you stay in the dark before you have to start at least speculating and at least forming a narrative? Maybe because we have the benefit of being on this side of the story. But when you're in it, you don't know where you're going. All you know is that, okay, we're here. Now what? And then there's just silence. I could see Aaron like, you have to run out of things to say. Well, he'll be back. Well, I don't know. Do you know? I don't know. See, you can't play on words here. You can't bullcrap your way through it. So you build a calf. So say, okay, fine. We're just going to bullcrap our way through this and build a calf. And we're going to just, we're going to do what we remember doing as a pastime. And this also points to the idea of sanctification from the crowd. Because the crowd, the world, culture, it will test your beliefs. It will show you whether you have self-mastery of your own concept. I'm going to give you criteria that's, similar to what you've seen, but that's not the God that we worship now. So I'm going to give you a scenario in which you would used to do that thing in this situation. Now let's see what you do. I understand for those listening. Hey, I understand you might pick up the bottle when you got angry. That's what you used to do in Egypt. But now that you've been delivered from God out of that, and you know it, we're going to, kids, we're going to test your conviction. And this is for you to see. Now you're going to get angry again. And I'm going to see if you open a bottle or do you close those hands and bow that head in prayer. Because remember, if the children of Israel and Aaron were converted, they're a babe in Christ. They just got out of the water. They just got out. So if you think about it, how much experience do they have in doing things right? Zero. Where are they on the soil scale? Rocky ground, at minimum. So are we surprised that they were so easily thrown off? No. You've never been exposed to that type of testing and tribulation under the auspices of being godly.
I love that you said that it teaches discipleship, right? Because when God sent Moses to not only tell Pharaoh to let his people go, but to introduce the people to him, right? By doing because what God did with the different plagues, if we do the research, he dismantled all of the Egyptian gods. Every single plague was a representation of the Egyptian gods that the Egyptians served. And God said, let me show y'all, these things ain't nothing. It's me, right? So they go through this water. First of all, I discipled y'all by showing you my wonders and signs and glory. So let me take y'all through this water. Now, I take y'all through this water. I deliver y'all from this bondage, but you go back. And how do you go back? You go back because I look at where it says, we don't know what happened to this fellow Moses. You devoided yourself from a relationship with Moses. You didn't trust Moses as the man of God that led you out of bondage into a place where God is preparing to take you into this land, this beautiful land that he has prepared for you. So you surround his brother, who, by the way, you're comfortable with, right? So when we're comfortable in a situation, what do? We go back to what makes us comfortable. And they were comfortable with Aaron because, hey, Aaron, we went through this together. We know all about these gods and stuff like that. So we don't know what happened to this man, but we know you. So because we know you, we need you to make us gods, Elohims.
It's, and I hate to cut you off. Fabulous point, but something just came to mind. In relationships, you ever seen that scenario where somebody have a little rough around the edges upbringing, and they don't know a good thing when they see it? They really don't. They're pros at the Instagram. They are pros at the swipe right or left or whichever way. I don't know, but they're pros at swiping. And then you finally get a good one. You finally stumble across someone who is the one. But because they don't have the excitement that you're used to having in your former life, they're rather boring. They're kind of dull. Yeah, what are we doing? Good morning. That's it? I'm like, yeah, no. Friday night, what are we doing? Not going to the club. Okay, so what do we do? We're gonna sit down and just be together. Is that okay? Like, yeah. So now you start to say, listen, prior to all of this, I used to have a life. You know what people say? I used to have a life. What did that mean? I lived for the weekend. I lived for the excitement. And if things are too peaceful, I call it boring, and I stir up my own drama because I don't know how to be still, and I don't know a good thing when I see it. So it's almost like you start to entertain those previous before Christian habits. The thing that put you in bondage, you try to mix it in a little bit. You start to entertain it a little bit because you don't know what to do. Let's say you finally got, a real man. But prior, you thought being a real woman was, under different terms. You thought if you had enough likes and subscribers and followers and DMs and stuff to look at, then, hey, your validation, that's where you were. But now it's just an audience of one. You have an audience of one. It's not as exciting. It's time to wrap up the whole fan thing. You only have one fan. You only have one now. But because, just like Moses, that may have been too simple. Moses only gave you 4 words. How did you mess this up? It's like, child of God, I only gave you one thing to do. How did you mess it up? You made it more complicated. You made it more complicated. Because you already know where Egypt was going to get you. Y'all was there for 400 years. Okay, everybody in your family got baby daddy, baby mama. Everybody on drugs. Everybody but game. Everyone got a shoot 'em up story, and everyone has a close near death story. But you got delivered, and now here you are, out of that, and you find a way Listen, when you start seeing, and ain't nothing wrong with this, but follow me. When you start seeing, the doggone Dodge Chargers pull up, with the base, all right, time to go. Listen, Listen, Dodge Chargers and chicks that drive Altimas. Okay, shout out to everyone who drives a Dodge Charger and drives Altimas. I'm just saying, not every bad person, not everyone who drives a Dodge Charger or a Nissan Altima is trouble. I'm just saying, usually the ones that are in trouble, I'm just saying, forgive me, y'all pray for me, I'm not right. But I'm just saying, like, there's some things you got to leave behind. Like, just because, and this is going to Aaron now, just because they're your family, you can't invite everybody to your house when they see you doing good now. When they go in your house and don't smell like weed no more. And you got carpet, so you can't even mask the smell. You ain't trying to hide it with the leather couch. Oh, come on, player. That's an old trick. They go in your house, and okay, no one watching BET no more. We ain't watching no Housewives of what y'all watching? The Chosen. Amen. What? Hold on. Go in the fridge. Water? Okay, you got sugar-free Mountain Dew. All right. Not the type of drink I was looking for. You mean to tell me your computers are set up in a way that everyone can see what's on the screen? Hold on. I can't live here. That's what that is. Because you have a whole nation, a whole tribe, a whole DNA that is warring against one single principality that is simple. But man, it comes under, it's like, what's more of, the rock or the waves? There's going to be way more waves than there is rock. But if it's a rock that stands, it doesn't matter what wave comes. It will break on the rock every time. And what we see is a primary, one of the first examples of one house, Moses, being built on a rock, the mountain. The other one, where was that? At sea level. Building an altar. From what they were actually pretty good at building. They probably were pretty talented. I'd look. I'm not going to put part. Oh, very talented. I wish you would turn that for God. That's it. There's so much talent out there, so much experience that you've taken from nectar that can be a source of food for someone else that's still in Egypt. To say, listen, let me tell you what it's like on the other side. One, it may not be that exciting, but guess what? You're going to be able to sleep at night. Yeah, you was used to dealing with bricks, but here we're building foundations. The bricks we building aren't physical, they're spiritual. There's some things that I can't build upon. I can't build upon the lies that you're being told in Egypt. Because you remember what they said. It's like, oh, in Egypt, we got to eat. We had way better food in Egypt, man. Yeah, but you was enslaved. You was a loyal, good little slave. Go ahead. Stay there. But you don't know what freedom is. Because you don't know how to feed yourself. And you don't even know where your food comes from. I'm trying to bring you to the person who made all food. Who made all nourishment. See, you're worshiping the object. I want to bring you to the source, not the resource. See, this is a whole lot bigger thing that Moses could see, but Aaron couldn't explain. And that's why Moses. Yeah.
But think about it. Aaron would have never been able to explain it because, again, he was a part of that bondage. He grew up with the bricks and building this and building that. Moses didn't. So when they surrounded him, all he knew was to go to familiarity. It's that Stockholm syndrome.
And Nick, that was the word I was thinking of from the last podcast, Stockholm syndrome. Where you're loyal to your oppressor. Sorry,
that
go ahead.
Stockholm syndrome says, well, you are loyal to your oppressor. What? Well, we don't know what happened with this Moses, but we know about these gods. You were enslaved to those gods and you loved and appreciated those gods. No matter how rough your life was, you didn't see that. It's the same thing with the woman who is in an abusive relationship. By the way, I'm talking to my women who are in DV relationships. He don't love you, because let's look at it here. A man that loves you won't put his hands on you. So let's look at the children of Israel. Those gods that you claim freed you were the ones that actually enslaved you. Those gods that you claim that gave you this goodness were the ones that actually abused you. Whereas the God of heaven says, let me give you a land flowing with milk and honey. Let me release you from this type of, as a matter of fact, y'all cried to me. And I heard y'all cry. You're loyal to these Egyptian gods, but why were y'all crying to me?
Unstable in all their ways. It's almost like how, and just because we're talking about relationships, it's almost like I can't find no good men out here, but you stay pregnant. Those are lyrics to a song I'm not going to mention, but I'm just saying. But it's true. It's true. Go ahead. I mean to cut you off. I'm just saying.
So I wanted to bring the point out where it says that the next morning, they sacrifice burnt offerings and peace offerings. Where did they get that idea from? That came from God, because God wanted them to sacrifice those type of things to them. So y'all took what was sacred to God and offered it to a golden calf and said, this is our gods that brought. First of all, you ain't say God. You said our gods that brought us out of the land of Egypt. And I've been guilty of this. And this is one of the reasons why this story speaks to me. Going through therapy and understanding that I became a Christian with a whole lot of baggage. And with that baggage, I would always go back to what was familiar versus making God my familiar. Right? What is familiar is child abuse, is premarital sex, fornication, it's cussing, it's bad attitude. But God being the familiar is saving myself for marriage. It's allowing God to transform me through his word, right? So to make myself this living sacrifice, this altar, this temple, means that I have to release what I'm comfortable with and get into a space that is uncomfortable and allow God to purge for me to become like Jesus, his son. These people didn't understand that. They didn't understand that what God was doing was preparing to purge Egypt out, to pour himself in. Because Moses went on the mountain and stayed up there too long. And Aaron himself, to me, is like, you saw this firsthand. As a matter of fact, you had a hand in it. God used your hand to bring all this stuff about. So when these people surrounded you, you couldn't remember, wait a minute. Let me pray. Because the same way God spoke to Moses, possibly he will hear from me too. Because he used me to help deliver y'all. You didn't even know how to go to him to say, hey, your people surrounded me. I need some help.
That's it for now. But before we go, please continue to listen, subscribe, and share our podcast. Also, if you want to support our show, please scroll down to the bottom of the show notes and click on the link that says Buy Me a Coffee. We would greatly appreciate it. Thank you for listening. And remember, God is good all the time, and all the time, God is good. And also, Jesus Christ loves you. Thank you. Wait, there's more. What if today was your last day on earth? Would you be ready to meet your Maker? Well, Jesus Christ has given us the good news. He told his disciples in Mark 16:15-16, and he said to them, "Go into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. He who believes and is baptized will be saved, but he who does not believe will be condemned." Jesus Christ has instructed his children to share and preach the gospel, which is the good news, which means that Jesus Christ came and that he was sacrificed, he was buried, and he rose on the third day. By believing and by repenting and confessing and being baptized, you will be saved. So it is your choice. Jesus Christ will not force you. You've heard the message, you heard personal testimonies, but this is your opportunity to give your life to Christ. Don't wait until tomorrow, because tomorrow is not promised. So I hope you submit to the will of God and give your soul to Christ. Be blessed.